If you are lucky enough to win some cash in your office pool, you will be one of the many, many people who profit from March Madness. Current TV deal gives the Ncaa and its schools here nearly $11 billion, that's with a B, through 2024. But none of that money goes to the people taking all the risks. I'm talking about the players. Recent study says top athletes in big-name basketball and football programs will lose more than $6 billion in earnings through just next year. Okay. Can college sports survive if they pay players? Forget about if it's right or wrong. Can they survive?
Of course they can survive. This is untenable. This is an indefensible system where every single body else makes money except the people who are on the field or on the court. It is morally wrong. It is unfair on any kind of distribution system. And you know what? It's going to change. And there would be two ways it would change. Either the athletes could form a union, and I know that's going to go.
There's already a few kids, Northwestern quarterbacks.
And you know what? Maybe they ought to say, you know, negotiate with us as a group. We're not going one-on-one. Or the courts are going to say, this is just fundamentally wrong. Slavery is unconstitutional in our society now. These are truly the last free workers.
Football and basketball make money. Name any other sport that really makes money for a college. They don't. So now you take out the SEC, the Big Ten, some other conferences here, Big 8. These guys don't make a lot of money. If now all of a sudden you got to pay, my question is it a Pyrrhic victory? Do you lose all the other sports that don't bring in revenue that football and basketball subsidize?
The honest answer is it might be. And it might mean that there isn't a lacrosse team at some school somewhere. But there's just something wrong with it. That's not the problem of the fullback.
The debate that needs to be had between the two parties has to be, do we want equality of income or greatness of opportunity?
Okay, that argument combining in recent weeks with this one, that if you're poor in America and you don't want to be, just stop being poor. I'm not making this up. This was originally something that the GOP got slammed for, but they've actually been embracing it within the party, some saying that's the model we ought to play here this fall.
Listen, let's agree on a couple of facts. The best way to get rich in America is to be born that way. Yep. And the second best way to be rich in America is to marry someone who's rich. And if we look at the statistic, there are some examples today of really, really poor people who become really rich people, but not an awful lot of them. And what government does actually matters. If there's an income tax, it helps. If we help those people who are starving, it helps a little bit. And decent people don't want their fellow Americans to starve and not have health care.
If you own a cell phone, you are under surveillance. I believe what you do on your cell phone is none of their damn business.
I think I hear progressives in UC Berkeley clapping along with Rand Paul.
Well, that's what's so interesting about this issue, right? Is it really does. There is a constituency for pulling this stuff back on the right and on the left, and it just kind of makes it fun. It seems to me where it is right now is that there is a consensus around the notion that we got to reel this in a little bit, that the technology has changed so much that it's so easy for people to follow so many things about our lives, and that somehow or another the protections that we used to have don't protect us anymore.
Why do you think the president, of all people, given his background, his skepticism, would embrace it and even double down off of what the Bush administration did?
Because of the same thing you called him, the president. People get in that job, they get those daily intelligence briefs. There's a lot of scary stuff in the world. No president of any party wants to be the guy who doesn't let those things happen. And so I think the fear takes over a little bit, the rights get pushed back a little bit, and you end up with a unjustifiable structure in place. But don't worry, it's going to change.